There we go. Good. The scale, and I think the scale is a topic that we have talked about on this call more than once, or more times than this time. And I believe that it's always going to be a topic that a lot of people can relate to. And I think it's a topic that are well deserved of like some repetition, because we need reminders of how to go about it when it comes to the scale and our emotions, stress. And that is something that I say to my clients as well, that are attached emotionally in some way, shape, or form to the scale, is that when you're stressing about the scale, that is actually one reason in itself for higher fluctuations on the scale, because all forms of stress, it can impact. I'm not saying that it always will, but it can impact the scale. So it's kind of becomes a vicious circle, that is where it's not helping. Let's just say it that way. It's the stress is not helping. So just talking about a little bit today, like what is going on the scale, and how we then can learn to undo that attachment to emotion. And I talked with Marissa now before I let everyone in, and I think it's not easy, even if we are educated and we like see the scale and see what is happening in real time. It is not easy to change our emotional connection to the scale. So I think it just needs consistency over time of kind of really starting to trust how your body is responding, and that's going to look different for all of us as well. So we can't really compare. If we're talking with a friend or so, we can't necessarily compare how our friend's scale is or what's going on their scale with what's going on ours. So learning to kind of know our body through the scale, if we have a physique goal, I think can be a very valuable thing. And that is also something that I get to know my clients through the scale. And that is very valuable for me as a coach, because by learning how the scale reacts for that particular person, I can also predict. So meaning, or what I mean with that is that the past is a great source of predicting the future. So what we can see that has been, if nothing changes, if we are able to keep consistency, then we can assume that the trend that we're seeing is going to continue in the same direction in the future, as long as we're keeping consistency. So that's why the data is very valuable for us as coaches, but it's also very valuable for you as someone with a physique goal that are stepping on the scale daily. And that is also something I can go straight there, that daily is the best. If you are stepping on the scale, I would recommend that you do it daily, and not just, now and then, because of course it's more data, but you could step on the scale on your higher fluctuation days, and not step on the scale on a new low, or on lower fluctuation days. So now suddenly you have part of the picture, but you don't have the whole picture. And if you're unfortunate, then the part of the picture that you do have might be something that is at least a part of stressing you out, because you're not seeing new lows perhaps. So personally, I would rather step on it daily or not do it at all. But of course, that's up to everyone how you want to do that. But that is my recommendation. And that is not included, of course, if you're traveling one weekend, traveling a week, of course, do not step on the scale when that is not an option, but more like as a consistency throughout a physique journey, basically. So let's scroll a little bit here. And the way that I have seen mindset shift around scale, and I assume that the other coaches can agree with me here, is by learning by doing, basically. And for my clients that are kind of afraid of the scale, I tell them I will never force the client to step on the scale, but what I do say to one that is, kind of emotionally attached is that if there is one time in life that you do step on the scale and you do pass that comfort zone, it is now while you're working with me, because I can provide you the tools, and I can provide you the comfort of like letting you know like what I see. And I'm not saying that what I see is always the only truth or it's facts, but at least I have an objective opinion of what is going on based of what is normal in regards to like why is the scale fluctuating at all. And it doesn't have to be me, but when you're working with the coach, you're able to kind of get some comfort and kind of a hand holding, so to speak, in regards to understand what is going on with the scale. So, and that is for me, when I have a client that has been afraid of the scale and now kind of moves past that, that is very rewarding, because when we are afraid of the scale, but we still step on the scale because we have a physique goal, and that scale number will kind of be the reason for why we do what we do. Um, it will kind of blur our vision on and keep us removed from objectivity, basically. And that is not always the best way to go about it when we have a physique goal. So, reading a little bit here. Yeah, so that is like it becomes a verdict, like what the scale is saying, and it kind of defines you and your journey and what you're doing, but that is not at all something that it should be doing, because there are so many reasons for those fluctuations. So seeing the bigger picture is always going to be, in my opinion, necessary when we step on the scale, but also a huge win in regards to understanding the whys behind it, basically. Because again, as it says here, progress is dynamic, it's nuanced, and it's not just the scale that is a tool we use to see progress. We use the scale, we use measurements, we use pictures, we use just how do you feel? How does your clothes fit? What do you see in the mirror? Potential also, like what are you hearing from people around you? So there's the scale is just one kind of piece of the puzzle, so to speak. And the scale shouldn't be a judge. It is a tool, basically. So here, some of the reasons why the scale does change, hormonal changes, which we females are, that's our life. It's up and down. Those hormones change throughout the months. That's just how it is, right? So we can't be removed from that. Carbohydrate intake. So there are things that we can control. So our hormone changes, not necessarily easy to control. That is what it is. Our carbohydrate intake is something, though, that we can control. So that is also something that I always tell my clients, especially clients that are emotionally attached to the scale or feeling a little, worried about the scale, is as the more consistent you can be with your carbohydrate intake and your intake at all, like macro distribution, calorie intake at all, but also then carbohydrates, which is the macro that holds on to most water. So that's going to be the macro that kind of has the biggest impact. But all of those things, all the macros, the calorie intake in itself, hydration levels is another thing that you can control. Be as consistent as possible, and make sure that when you are, if you're, for example, if you're very active, you're sweating a lot, then really making sure that you are refueling that hydration levels. Sleep quality, that is also something that not always, depending on where we are in life, do we have kids or not? What does our work situation look like? But in general, if we have at least some control over our sleep and our consistency of sleep, at least control over our sleep routine, like our nighttime routine. And then we might have kids that wake us up during the night. We can't control that necessarily, but we can at least make sure that we have a consistent sleep routine that is going to also aid in removing kind of one reason for fluctuations on the scale. Recovery from training. And of course, we want to train, so we don't want to remove training. And soreness is something we can't control as much. Of course, we can train. We can not go as hard to not be sore, but we don't want to do that, right? Like we want to give our all in training. So knowing that, okay, I'm sore today, I'm sore because I trained yesterday or the day before, then expect that the scale might be up because your muscles are going to hold on to more water, basically. And then just general stress. And stress is such a big umbrella term, right? Because stress can be, it's emotional stress, it's mental stress, it's physical stress. It's just the everyday, living in a modern world kind of stress. Like stress is so huge. So we are stressed in some way, shape, or form, and some stress is positive, and we need to have some level of stress in our lives. It's just natural. So even if we are not overly stressed, it is something that can impact the scale. Inflammation, illness, sickness, like all of that is going to impact. And that is something that, yeah, to some extent we can control. That is more connected to our lifestyle in general and our consistency of that. But of course, sometimes we get sick, and that is not necessarily something we control. So there are things we can do to make sure that we are diminishing the reasons for fluctuations on the scale, and that is consistency. And the consistency goes like, that is something that is just always going to be something to aim for anytime you have any goal, I would say. But so consistency with your food intake, consistency with your water intake, consistency with how you move your body, consistency with sleep, consistency with just, stress management in whatever way one is able to kind of deal with stress. So all of those things that we can control is going to be beneficial to do and to really, work towards, especially then if we are worried about what the scale says. But I would say those consistencies are great anyways, like that's, and needed, but just kind of understanding the connection that it has with fluctuations on the scale, I think is important. And I don't think we always think about that. So it's just like fluctuations, part of our body's natural rhythm. It just is. We can't get away from fluctuations. And then the case is that some of us will fluctuate more, and some of us fluctuate less. And again, how your lifestyle is will, in most scenarios, predict if you're fluctuating a lot or less, or higher ranges. So this is why we are looking for trends. That's what I'm looking for. And this is also then connected to what I said earlier about like getting to know your body through the scale. or me as a coach getting to know the client through the scale. Because again, what has been in the past, if there is consistency in the picture, the past will then allow for me and you as a person who is stepping on a scale to predict the future. But to be able to have that sight, so to speak, and vision, you have to see the data for what it is, and you have to zoom out. So that's crucial, and it can be very rewarding if you're able to do that. And this is also why both looking at, stepping on the scale daily, but also looking at like weekly averages, like what is the trend telling me? And when I look at that, I look at both new lows, but I also look at like where are the highs and where are the lows. So I will switch, I think I can do that. Switch to this picture here and just show you kind of what I'm looking at. So here, this is a client of mine where I have just taken, this is 3 months showing the graph. And as you can see, here we have fluctuations for sure. But what I'm seeing, and I hope that you see what I see, what I'm seeing is that we have a low and then we spike. And then we have a downward trend, and then we spike. And then we have a downward trend, and then we spike. Downward, and then we spike. So looking at what we see here, what would you predict is going to happen in the future from here? I know what my prediction is. It's going to go down. Like that's my prediction from what I'm seeing. And this is just 3 months. This particular client, this is the trend that has been for a year, basically. So of course, the more data I have, the more sure I also can be of the prediction. So if let's say, let's say that this client of mine reached out to me around here and was like, oh, it's going up. Like, I feel like I'm doing everything the same. It's going up. I don't really understand like why the scale is doing what it is. And then that's when I will bring this forward. I will zoom out even further, and I will say, look at what we're looking at here. This is normal. This is normal for your body. This is just, yeah, basically, there's no other word I need to use. It's norm. It's just norm, basically. But what I'm looking for is the lows, the lowest lows. There's a downward trend. If I would draw a line here, it's a downward trend. If I would draw a line from the highest highs, there's a downward trend. So no matter how we look at this, it's a downward trend, even if it can look like it's all over the place. This is just life. This is just life happening. And we have downward trends no matter how we choose to look at it. And that is not if you are just living day by day and you're standing here and you're like, what the heck? What's happening here? Like, I'm super consistent throughout the week. What is going on here? If you are just looking at this day and you get frustrated and you don't understand and you do not look at the full picture, it's very easy on this day that you just think, fuck it. Like it's not working. There's no point. And you give up or you change your consistency. You just eat whatever you want. Yeah, I don't know. You stop training. Like this is why looking at the bigger picture, you can stay focused on your consistency without giving yourself 15 to 20, 25 reasons for why you should quit. Because all of us know that having a physique goal and working towards that, I would say even working towards living a healthy lifestyle in our modern society, it's like it's work, it's hard, it's not easy. There's nothing easy about it, but at the same time, no matter how you choose to live, it's not going to be easy, right? It's just like you choose your hard. um but at the same time, we want reassurance, we want quick results, we want to know that what we are doing is the right thing. We are afraid of kind of wasting our time, we're afraid of doing the wrong thing. So if and so we there are voices in our heads. I'm not saying that this is the case for everyone, but I think generally we have voices in our heads that can tell us like there's no point, like just I can do this, like this is not working. So by zooming out, looking at the big picture, just let data be data, we're gonna be better off for it, because we're gonna be able to be more objective, even if it is our subjective self we are analyzing, so to speak. But this is also why we don't just use the scale. We want to use photos. We want to use measurements. How does clothes fit? And very often, and this is all depends on what you have as a goal, right? Is fat loss a goal, or is recomping a goal? Is there any part of you that also want to build muscle? That is something that we see a lot, that our clients want to lose fat, but they also want to build muscle. Like we want it all. And when that is actually a true goal, like you also want, or you want to keep the muscle you have, because I've never heard anyone say that they want to lose muscle. Of course, unless they have a lot of muscle, but most of us doesn't. So most of us want to keep the muscle we have. And so then we might, like, we would be happy if we were able to build. So basically then our goal is recomping. And then it's not always that the scale move at all, but when we're looking at pictures, when we can look at pictures from, like, let's say 3 months in between, 6 months in between, we can see that there is a positive change in the pictures. But the scale is maybe like it has dropped 1-2 pounds perhaps, maybe not even that, maybe it's even gone up, so by using all of the data that we have available for us, by taking pictures, doing measurements, stepping on the scale, using all the tools, we are also going to be able to have a better picture of what is going on, actually, what's happening here. So, and that is also something that many can be uncomfortable with, taking photos, doing measurements, stepping on the scale. And so it's always going to be a choice, right? If you want to do that or not. But no matter how you feel about it, there's no doubt about the value in using the tools when we want reassurance of what we are doing is actually taking us in the right direction or not, because it goes both ways. It's not just a tool to see what you're doing right, it's also a tool to see, do I need to change something? Is what I'm doing not enough, or is it just, purely I need to make a change, basically. So it's valuable no matter how you look at it. It's a tool to, like, not waste your time, basically. And there's also this something that I hear a lot from clients, is this, like, oh, if they're going away, for example, over the weekend, girls trip or whatever, and then there's going to be more alcohol, there's going to be late nights, there's going to be, road trips, like meals that are not homemade. Scale is probably going to be up Monday, right? Like that is very likely. And that as well. And then I have a lot of clients that, like, kind of it puts a damper on a way on the weekend or the trip, because they are worried about losing the progress that they have been able to work up. But like that one weekend is not gonna change your, it's not going to ruin your progress. It's just gonna, it's gonna be reflected on the scale most likely, but that has nothing to do with removing the work that you put in, or changing the direction of your path. Or it's just, it's you basically making room for another life value that you have. And that is something that I personally, I think all of us coaches think is important. Like we have to make, like a physique goal isn't the only life value we have. We have other values as well. And if we want longevity with the results that we are able to achieve, and with the lifestyle that is actually required to be able to not just obtain results but to keep them, we also have to make room for the values that we have, right? It's not and of course we can have specific moments where like I'm all in right now and I'm going to skip that weekend away because now this is really important. I'm not saying that that is wrong, but in general, if you're working with a coach or you have a physique goal that is going to take you a year, 2 years, 3 years, there's going to be a weekend here and there in that time where your physique goal isn't necessarily going to be your main focus, but that doesn't mean that you're going to completely remove yourself from it. And when you get home that Monday and you step on the scale, you're going to know that most likely the scale is going to be up, and it has nothing to do with you ruining your progress. It has everything to do with your body uh, responding appropriately, basically, to what has happened that weekend. And then you get back in to your consistency, and the scale is going to drop like 9 out of 10 times. That's what happens. And of course, if that weekend away is every weekend, yeah, it's probably going to have an impact on your journey and your physique goals. So it all depends on what is too much and what is not. And that's also why we do collect the data, because then we will know or how many of those weekends can you afford, so to speak, or can we have those weekends but we make some changes. No matter how you look at it, that data is going to be valuable. Stay hydrated and nourished. Yes, that is always going to be important. Again, coming back to like the consistency of that, the more consistent you are, the less reasons for fluctuations. And again, that just gives you the power, right, to decide if do I mind fluctuations? If the answer is yes, okay, let me control what I can control. Do I not mind fluctuations? Okay, do your thing and it will be what it is. And this is also something, there is a time and place for stepping on the scale. If this is something that really has such an impact on you that it is consuming you, then I would say maybe you just skip the scale. And of course, it's always going to be up to you, but it is not worth being consumed, in my opinion. But again, if you are working with a coach, that if there is any time to kind of work on that and removing yourself from that emotion, I think it is at least while you are working with a coach, because then you kind of have a safety net in your coach to be able to change that relationship, so to speak. And then also the more, and of course we all, depending on if you're on if you have a cycle, or if you are on um, uh, the pill or any oh my God, I can't remember what it's called in English now. You know what I mean? If you are taking anything so you don't have a cycle, then it's hard to say. But usually, you will kind of feel you will have some symptoms anyways, even if your sex hormones are or your thyroid are a little off. But so just paying attention, like how is my cycle, like in regards to how you feel, I mean, in period or no period, uh is there anything, can I tell that some specific time during the month I'm feeling like this, or I'm more bloated, I'm have more cravings, just so you start kind of seeing a pattern, because then usually that is something you will see on the scale as well. um and this, I think, is something that it relates to whatever it's about in life in general. Like, is this true? Like this voice inside my head right now, is what's going on there? Is it true, or is it just fear? Like, um, and fear-based decisions, that is something that I think about quite a bit. Like, I don't, I think I think it's hard to like be removed from that completely, but in just being aware, at least, like, what decisions am I making in my life that are based on fear of something. And again, that is very connected to the scale and what we choose to eat, what we don't eat, if choosing to go to the event, stay at home. Um, and it can consume us, like, mentally, and that inner voice. So just being aware and asking yourself questions can be very valuable. Even writing it down, like having um, just putting everything down on paper, like, what am I? Like, how do I connect fear with my physical or the scale or measurements or pictures, like whatever it is, that is with something that is supposed to be a tool to help you. It can even be tracking, right? Like anything that is a tool, is it that is actually there to help you? Is it becoming something very stressful for you? And in that way, kind of figuring it out, so to speak, can be very helpful on your continued journey. And this then kind of aligns with that, I would say. Like, if you have a physical, I think even it doesn't necessarily need to be physical lead. It can be a health goal. Like, you just want to change your lifestyle and be as healthy as you can be, feel as good as you can be. And because of that, you are tracking your calories, you are stepping on the scale. Um, you are just creating an awareness of all the things. Like, is part of it making you, is part of it creating stress? And in that case, like, remembering, like, why you are doing this. You are doing this to feel better, to be healthier, to be stronger, um, to be oh, what's the word I'm looking for? To be a role model for your kids, for the people around you. Like, there's so many positive things that is connected to a physique goal and a health goal. So just removing ourselves from the stress that is connected to that goal, that again is based on fear, can make the journey just so much better, basically, um, and easier, I would say. IUD, exactly. Thank you, Griffin. Yes. Thank you. Um, is there a lot of people on here today that has fear of the scale, or some? No.
Definitely something I work through with a lot of my clients.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Like,
Agreed.
not uncommon, highly common.
Very common. Yeah, I agree. So that's why I think that it's, again, it's a topic that kind of needs a reminder. And for me, or what I hear from my clients at least, is like this graph, like looking at the graph, and the graph that if you are using the app and putting in, even if you're not working one-on-one, like put in your measurements, put in your scale numbers, and use the graphs, like use the graphs for yourself, and just like look at the bigger picture. That can be so, because there's one thing to collect the data, but using the data is what's going to be helpful, right? So it's not collecting the data is just step one, and then using the data, understanding the data is what's going to actually relieve that emotional connection or create a more a healthier relationship, if we want to call it that, to the scale. So I definitely recommend, if you are one that are where the scale, you are stepping on the scale, but it is a stress for you, definitely use the data. I For most people, at least, it's going to be very helpful and insightful, and you're going to learn a lot. And we're here to help if anyone wants, more specific help of understanding it. I hope that, like me showing, was, at least a start of kind of understanding what's going on the scale, what to look for. But yeah, it's I've at least seen a lot of clients that has had a lot of just great relief from understanding and learning and looking at it from a different perspective. That is, aiding and helping instead of doing the opposite, basically.
Yeah, I
So
agree. I think it could actually be empowering sometimes. Like when you have patience is a big piece of the puzzle too. But with patience and exactly as you described, like the ability to predict the future and awareness, like drawing correlations between where you're at in your cycle and what the scale is doing, and when you travel and what the scale does, and when you have a hard workout day and what the scale does. Like kind of taking
mm,
notes of those correlations and zooming out and having patience to collect a lot of data, it really can be empowering. You have like it never maybe removes a little bit of like the like there's some of that might still be there, but if you're like really working towards a goal, but you know the why,
yeah.
knowing the why can be very it can take the edge off for sure and be very
Mhm.
empowering, I think.
Yeah, and I think, like, just also, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, like it's helpful in regards to like being able to just stay consistent, just keep putting in the work. Because if we're making changes too often, like we just change and we change, we're not allowing the process to kind of take its time, then that in itself is a reason for why we're not seeing progress, because we're not patient enough.
Yeah.
And I think when the scale becomes kind of, we look at it with fear, then we are more likely to think that this is not working, I need to change something. And what you needed was just to be consistent and allow for more data to be collected. And sometimes the change is needed, and that's what the data is telling us. But usually we need more time. So I would say, at least personally, I want 3-4 weeks of consistency before I make changes with any clients. And when I say I want 3-4 weeks, I mean you have to be consistent with what the plan is. Like, what's the plan with your sleep, with your calorie intake, with your movement, with your macro distribution, all of the things. Like, there needs to be consistency on the bigger picture, because if we're having 3-4 weeks pass, but there's no consistency in those 3-4 weeks, then I'm sorry, I need 3-4 new weeks. Like, so you have to look at it from all angles. Have I actually been consistent? Yes, I have been. Okay, have I let 3-4 weeks pass and I have collected data consistently? Yes, I have. Okay, what is the data showing us? Oh, it's showing us a downward trend. Okay, that's awesome. Like, and then can be another topic, a new call, but like, what to expect also. What is a downward trend? Like, are we expecting the trend to be like a 10-pound loss or is 1 pound loss a positive trend? Like, so that's another call. We don't have time for that, but at least starting off with knowing what to look for, knowing how long you need to look, and how long you need to collect the data, and see the big picture. Yeah, it is helpful. So if any have any questions or thoughts of anything, share in the groups, and we are always here to help with emotions attached to the scale as well. And I think if posting something in a group about that, I promise you there are more than less that are gonna recognize themselves in whatever how you're feeling. And of course, if you're joining the fat loss cohort, that is, I think it started this prep week. That's a great community to also address that for sure. So yeah. I hope you are having a great Monday, Easter Monday. Like here, I'm at my parents' cabin, celebrating Easter this week, and I hope you have a good one and a good week and a good rest of your day.
Great
Okay,
call,
bye.
Henrietta. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.